Hello again, everybody. Welcome. It is Greg. Welcome to the Greg Cast. You are here on my back porch. It's an absolutely glorious evening here in September in the great state of Alabama, and it's an absolute joy to have you as we continue our series on faithful citizenship. This week, we're going to look at the tenets of Catholic social teaching. That's right, the idea that our faith offers us guidance and direction on how we can live and breathe and work in society. We're in a free country, and we can do whatever the heck we want, I guess. But as a matter of faith, as a matter of being active and involved in our Catholic faith, there's some suggestions, maybe some strong suggestions, maybe even something that you should consider very seriously in how you look at applying your faith to society. That's why they call it Catholic social teaching. And there's 7 little tidbits, if you will, or challenges, I'm sure, that we can look at. And I want to take them each one by one and kind of break them down a little bit for you. But I'm really going to just do what the church does and offer you a little explanation of what it is that maybe, well, you know what? This is WWJD before the cool bracelet. This has been around a while. Catholic social teaching is exactly what that question asks. What would Jesus do? Well, he would do at least the following 7 things, we believe. And the first is a call to solidarity. Solidarity is this concept that we are all together. We are all neighbors. We are all one body in Christ. And for me at my age, and this might not mean a lot to our younger participants here, but you know, in Poland, as communism fell, there was this great movement called the Solidarity Movement. And I remember as a teenager looking at this going, wow, these people were like all marching together and talking about taking care of one another. I know there was more to it than that. And if you look in your history books and you look at all the reasons why communism fell and more societies became free, certainly the Solidarity Movement has to be part of that discussion. Well, in light of Catholic social teaching, it says in the Faithful Citizenship document, it defines solidarity like this, that we are our brothers and sisters' keepers. We take care of one another, wherever they may be. Loving our neighbor has a global dimension, okay? It's not just the guy next door. It has a global dimension that means like, the people across the pond and the people way down in the southern tip of Antarctica. You know, there's a lot of people in the southern tip of Antarctica, huh? Anyway, but it's our neighbors in a global sense, and it requires us to do wonderful things for our neighbors. You know, share our goods and share our wealth and give what we can. But it also calls us to do things like get rid of racism. It says in the document, it requires us to eradicate racism and address things like extreme poverty and disease and things like that are plaguing the world. That's what the Faithful Citizenship document says, that as we are in a spirit of solidarity, we not only care what happens to our brother and sister, we actually act on it. The next item on our list of Catholic social teaching is about dignity, the dignity of the human person. This is the Catholic teaching about the dignity of life, and it calls us to oppose things like torture and unjust war and the use of the death penalty, and to prevent things like genocide and attacks against innocent civilians, and to oppose things like racism, and to overcome poverty and suffering because we don't overcome it just because it's a great thing to do, or just because we want to help be the best guy in the world kind of thing. No, it's about dignity. It's about because it's wrong. And we support and we fight for the dignity of the human person, born or unborn, and the idea that we want to eliminate the suffering, we want to eliminate the challenge, we want to eliminate that injustice that happens. And when we fight for things at a level of dignity, it really matters more than if it's just a political issue. So you have to understand why people get so excited and passionate about things like the fight against abortion or opinions against the death penalty or this idea of torture going on in our world. People are passionate about it because it's undignified. And so in a sense, our Catholic social teaching challenges us to go ahead and take it to that level. If it touches your heart, remember that phrase, if it breaks the heart of Jesus, then, and if you feel that, I mean, that's kind of the idea of being a Christian, to have your heart touched by the things that would touch the heart of Christ. So, in a sense, dignity, it really is the core of what Catholic social teaching is about. The next item on the list, of course, is community. I mean, if we're going to be one body in Christ, then certainly the root word is communion, or to be a community. So in our society, it's not just about being the best country in the world. It's also about being a group of people, a group of towns and cities and states that actually supports one another and actually works for the benefit of one another. So in a sense, Catholic social teaching talks about the idea that as community, every person and association has a right and a duty to participate actively in shaping this society or this community that we live in, and to promote the well-being of everybody, especially the poor and vulnerable. You're going to hear about that in another one on the list here in a second. But the idea that community is, everybody's involved and everybody has a voice and everybody has to be considered. And, sometimes the unpopular or the minority opinion is actually the right way to go. And it's the best thing that the community can have. And so it's not always majority rules. You have to promote the well-being of everybody. And that's why the bishops add, especially the poor and the vulnerable. So in being community, it makes it difficult. It's not an easy thing to make decisions at the top level. And we've certainly seen enough of that in our time on this planet, how communities get along sometimes and don't get along at others.